fighting for more like that. We thought it was so cool. Not just because of the time, not because of time off. Just kidding. It was a lot of fun film. Fun sounds. Yeah, one a year, maybe two first.
It was unique because there were no cameras.
That's right.
There was no camera crew. That was the funniest thing is because our camera crew, they were literally walking around going, I don't know what to do.
Finally, by the last day, they were walking around kind of like, just making their presence known, like, kids who didn't want to be ignored. They were like, we still work here.
Well, Dave, our dolly grip, who self-explanatory, he moves the dolly, and but he's part of the grip crew. Thank you.
It's still morning where we come from.
It is. He's generally part of, I mean, he's kind of considered part of the camera crew. You've got your A camera operator, Brad. You've got your focus puller, Matt. You've got your A camera assistants, Jose, Peter, and then you've got your dolly grip, and his name's Dave. And Dave now doesn't have a dolly or a camera to push around because it's all handheld by the actors. So he walks up to me and he's like, they gave me a radio. I'm freaking out. I don't want anybody to call me. He'd do some work. He's lugging sandbags now and apple boxes, and he's like, this sucks.
Totally funny.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there like just reading trivia on their phones, like, letting actors operate the cameras. This sucks. But it was fun.
Yeah.
How was the punch band? Who met DJ? We love DJ. Good. Good. Keep asking for him back, because we want him back. And we know he's doing a show right now in LA, but... oh, we didn't get around to who's a first-timer. Right. Nice. Welcome, guys. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, you don't get to go home this time? What happened this time? Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, Franken Perfect Storm. It seemed like Frankenstorm on one channel, the Perfect Storm on another channel. Franken Perfect? Perfectin' Frank? Who lives in Superstorm? That's the other channel. Who lives on the East Coast? Wow.
Ooh. So, Chicago for the next few days now. Too cold? She's like, no, Hawaii.
I'm going back home on the winds because it's too cold.
She's like, there's a lot of flights that go out of this airport. We can go anywhere we want.
That's right. Does anybody know if their flights are already canceled? No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a place, I was kind of laughing to myself. I turned on CNN or Headline News, something like that this morning. And there was an anchor there, and it said, like, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, or something Devil. I was like, of course they're going to go to, like, the place called Devil to go, there's a storm, let's go to Devil something, and just put it up and say, Devil, North Carolina. Kind of chuckled at myself.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody's family and friends are okay. It's really hot in Texas, where I'm from right now. There's an Austin Comic-Con going on. Oh, so we're walking home yesterday from dinner, and we see a guy sitting there talking on the phone. Why didn't we? I didn't even think about it. We just finished dinner. We're walking home, and I go, Jason? And Jensen kind of turns around, and it's Jason Gedrick. And he's sitting there, our friend from Usual Suspects. Everybody remember Usual Suspects? Yeah, so he's a Chicago boy, so he was sitting there. Why did we talk?
What's funny though is I looked right. He was standing on the street on the phone. He was actually talking to his son outside a hotel, and I looked right at him. He and I made contact, and just kept walking. And then Jared was walking behind me. And he double took him and walked a few feet. And he was like, and he slapped me. He's like, dude, I think that's Jason Gedrick. I was like, what? And my belly's full of pasta at this point. I'm
and Jensen's like, I just gave him a dirty look.
And so he he's like, Jason? And Gedrick literally does it. Of all people, this one, he's like,
and I've got a baby attached to me.
And it took Jason a few seconds. He was like, And Jared's like, Jared! And then he realized,
Oh, geez.
or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just was like, oh, yeah. As soon as he walked away, he's like, hey son, yeah, I have no idea who this is.
I was kind of accosted by a guy with a baby on his chest. Feet dangling everywhere.
Yeah, but he's from here. Jason's actually from Chicago. I guess he's back home visiting some family. So. Cool.
On the phone with Hooky Dope son. All right. Well, we've rambled on. Yes, you had your hand up. God bless you. No, I don't trust Misha. Yes, that's true. Next. We also don't trust Misha, to clarify. Oh, yeah.
Wait, what?
Who? What?
Wrestling!
Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell.
I can't seem to recall anything. But don't hug me really hard on my left side today. The worst injury I've had, I fell victim to being around pink eye. So, yeah, so no touching my eye today.
You don't want to know that, man.
You know, I feel like it's
Not a
necessary.
wrestling story. It's much better. And just to clarify, it's fight training. Misha just doesn't fight very often on screen, and he doesn't understand how to properly protect yourself. Which is what? Somebody had to jump in and save him, and I missed. That's enough of that.
Misha, yes. You know who does MMA quite a bit, actually, is Jensen Stanley.
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah. So he shows some moves. We know a few things. We were trying to teach Misha. Ty's a tough cookie. I haven't worked with him as much. I don't know if he and Jensen kind of.
Yeah, he definitely trains, and he's a big fan of that sport. So he and I talk about it a lot and stuff, and I know that he is. I think he does do a little bit of fighting and stuff, but just strictly training, not competitive. He actually showed me a picture the other day of a buddy of his who were wrestling or fight training, as we like to call it, and he got him in a Kimura, which is a hold, and actually snapped his arm, which is pretty much close to what happened to Misha. It just wasn't a clean break. No, but this guy, I mean, and they had to take him to the emergency room, and of course Ty felt horrible, and I'm like, okay, well let's not do that ever. But yeah, no, Ty's, and then working with, I hope you guys like him, because I really enjoy working with him. He's a great actor, he's a really good guy, and his character is really cool. I think Benny's a great addition this year, for many reasons. I think, just what it does to the brothers, and the kind of the wrench that it throws in the system, but also just adding some color is cool. Yeah, we're happy. I hope you guys don't get to meet him soon. I think is he signed probably scheduled to come to one of these. What's that?
Is he Jersey?
New Jersey?
Right.
Cool. Yeah. No, he's a good guy. You like him. And don't let that accent fool you. He's actually from Canada.
As you were talking, I came to realize we actually have a pretty tough cast character. Like Pellegrino has been a fighter for a long time.
Yeah, he's a boxer.
Even the pretty one, Cohen. Pellegrino was a kickboxer. Even Matt is a big boxer. We have Ty. Everybody but Misha basically can. We should dance.
We should have like a you know, a sporting
kick Misha's ass.
Like a sporting tournament with our cast versus like the cast of Gilmore Girls.
Gossip Girl. Gossip. You didn't say Gossip.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Way in the back.
Yesterday in his panel, Jim said he wanted to come back home to you guys, and that maybe we should ask if you guys could get on that phone.
Hey, we have been on that. She was just saying basically Jim would love to come back. And we fought, we love Jim obviously too, and we've tried. I know they would love to find a way to work him in without cheapening it. In my opinion, and it pains me to say this, but it was such a wonderful exit that it hate to be like, and here I am. I don't know if some of you probably haven't heard, and I've shared this before with others, but Death's Door is probably my favorite episode of Supernatural of all time. Yeah, it really is. No, I just think it was such a heart-wrenching, like I feel like
it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's you losing a very beloved character, which I think is unfortunately what makes really good television.
Right. So I think it'd be tough to be like Darth Vader coming back, going like, "Hey, Luke, let's throw the ball, son." I'm back. So it was just such an iconic, especially for Supernatural.
But that being said, because of the nature of the show, we do ask the question. And unfortunately, he and I weren't hired to make those kind of creative decisions. But when asked, when we do ask the writers or the showrunners, it's we kind of get the same universal answer as, well, never really dead in Supernatural. So with that said, there's always a possibility. I think it's really just driven by story and what makes sense for the storyline. If it makes sense to bring Bobby back, then I'm sure they'll find a way to do that. If not, then we'll keep our fingers crossed. You could always what? Flashback? Yeah, dreams.
I'd really rather not dream about it. Let me clarify. I love Jim. I don't want no more dreaming of Jim. Let's go back over here. Yes. Oh. Simultaneously and unison.
Yes, we go to the wax bar and get some man's sitting. You think I'm kidding? That's a real thing. I'm trying to convince Cliff to do it.
Come on, Cliff, get the man's in.
He's actually out of the room. He just left. No.
Well, the part of the body it's on is not really a hairy part. It's not like it's on our head, So we don't. You know what? They did though. Initially, that's funny. That's actually the first time I did that. So for the first couple seasons, they would have us, whenever we were going to be shirtless, they would have us shave. For whatever reason, I think when it was WB or something, they were like, men don't have hair. Luckily, I think maybe season 4 or something, finally Bob Singer was like, listen, y'all are men, y'all can have some chest hair. We're like, woohoo! So now there's no more shaving of the chest, which always feels kind of, for those who shave chests, I'm not judging, but for me it feels odd to...
I, fortunately or unfortunately, don't really have chest hair.
Prove it!
Look at Slice Girls.
That's pretty good. My favorite was, I'm from the show me state.
Yeah, no, I literally maybe have 3 or 4 that I'm very proud of.
He's named them. Oh, Misha. Leave Jim alone. Oh, sorry. I think the French Connection was kind of like that. Like, hopefully people don't think we're really like this, like in our trailers and stuff. Or French Mistake.
Isn't Dean a total dick normally? Haven't I been trying to make him likable for the past 8 years?
I do. I do. I find myself sometimes, and Genevieve brought this up yesterday because there's a Supernatural marathon going on right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's how excited I am. No, and the episode was on with the introduction of Rob Benedict, and there's a scene where Castiel farts for a real long time. And I was like, guys, are we a show about fart jokes now? And I remember, and Jen, I've completely forgotten, but remember there's a scene where Sam, Dean, and Castiel are sitting, and all of a sudden it's like, and we're all looking at each other, and then Misha goes, no, it's not me. I think I remember both of us, and I just remembered it because Jen was like, oh yeah, didn't you like not want to do that? I was like, yeah, that's right. I didn't want to make it about a fart joke. And we just had a funny conversation with Bob Singer the other day. We talked about, there was an episode which was House of the Holy, and then Angels, and then Touched, where we were like, hey guys, are we really going to bring angels like into the show? What's going on? Fast forward to season 8, it's like angels here and demons there and everything. But there have been a few times where you kind of, as Jensen touched on earlier, you kind of remind yourself, oh yeah, I guess I'm an actor. I guess I'm telling the story, and though I don't always agree with it, though I don't always see eye to eye with what the writers maybe say, I'm telling a story. So it's kind of, it's neat to be asked and hired to help somebody else tell the story. And obviously, we've all become a big part of the story now, but I certainly do wonder sometimes and I think the dick jokes last year got, at certain times last year I was like, man, this isn't American Pie, like we don't need to do that. Our fans are more intelligent than that.
Miss James panel.
But we cut a few, and it made the ones that were still there hopefully funny and not overbearing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Jensen, there's a two-hander right there.
What? Hi.
I have a waiver, so I want to ask a question now. The episode that...
Need a ride?
You going back to the Superstore?
No, I'm going to Vegas.
That a girl?
There you go. Okay, sorry.
This last episode didn't. I enjoyed it a lot. Online, I don't know if you pay attention to any of that. There were some people who really did not enjoy it. And then there were some people it was interesting who said they hated it the first time. They went back and watched it a second and third time and said, oh, okay, no, it was actually a really good episode. But it was kind of controversial. Because it wasn't enough people.
Bob Singer's directing the episode that we're filming right now, and he and I had a small conversation about this. Because I guess, him being the executive producer, he pays attention to some of the feedback that people express online, and obviously there was some mixed feelings about the last week's episode. In his very charming New York manner, he was telling me that there was one review said, oh, this was a horrible episode, and I just don't know if I can watch the show anymore.
Yeah.
And Bob was like, oh, I'm sorry for providing 7.5 years of entertainment for you to have it all hinged on one episode. Please forgive us. And, then he kind of stomped away and like only Bob can. Here's the deal. Look, we've done how many? 160 episodes? We've done 160 episodes. Sometimes you gotta take chances and think outside the box, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it pleases some people, but sometimes you can't please everybody all the time. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Interesting, because I got into a huge argument with my brother-in-law about it because he didn't like it and I liked it.
Right.
And at the end of the argument, my brother-in-law said, you know what? Out of 8 years, it's the one episode I didn't like. So
Right.
I said, okay, you know what?
But you can also look at, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. You can also look at it as, it sparked a conversation. It's a conversation piece. You guys can have actual opposing opinions about an episode and then discuss it. And you know, for what that's worth, I apologize. But you know, like I said, at the end of the day, these, you know, the writers have written a lot of really wonderful material, and I mean, I like the episode, you know, personally, but you're not gonna please everybody every time, and I just, you know, I hope for those that didn't like it, you know, they give us a little leeway. You know, we got to take chances every now and again. If we just play it safe, I think that's a bigger mistake.
I think it's worked more often than not. I think doing those crazy episodes, whether it's change of channels or Memphis Day, or the Real Ghostbusters, or something where somebody who is a fan of a normal television show, they're like, wait, they did an episode about what? Has more often than not, really worked. And you know, maybe there's a place in the future for something like Bitten, not a full episode of it, but a way to tell a certain story. I actually haven't seen it yet myself. Playing with Thomas. Changing a diaper. I wasn't even doing that to elicit an awe. It really isn't that sweet. He's like covered in poop. But I'm excited to watch it. Jared, am a fan of the more unique episodes. I feel like I can watch it as an audience member, as opposed to watch it kind of critiquing myself, remembering what my thought process was, shooting it or preparing for it, or when we were shooting, something happened, it was raining, whatever it is. I feel like I can watch it as a fan of the show, which is fun, because usually it takes me a while to have to go back and rewatch the episode. I'm going to go way in the back. Yes, I guess not that way.
Actually, a friend of mine was at your Nerd HQ panel during the summer, and he asked the question I wanted to ask. And so I told him.
How dare you?
No, he was looking for a question, but I told him I would ask Jensen the same question. And that was is there any kind of backstory in your head as far as Dean is concerned? Like, do you have anything that you know about Dean that we don't when you're playing him? Like, is there something that informs your...
Like any kind of a character background kind of thing that I use that that isn't written or portrayed on camera?
Yeah, well,
no.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not that actor. I don't sit down and write a whole biography about my character just to do an Nabisco commercial. I've done it. When I was young and stupid. You know, it's a good question, and I do have friends, and I know of actors that do that will sit down and they will write a character biography about someone they would play, even if they just have to make everything up, which generally they do because it's not in the script. But it gives them a better sense of how they want to.
R2?
This is the supernatural community. You know, and for some people that works. I mean, I don't think there is I don't think there's a kind of a formula or a rhyme or reason to be an actor. I think everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. Fortunately enough for me in playing Dean is I had, like I said, 160 episodes of backstory to go off of. You know, from the pilot, he was very well explained. I had a very kind of not a total clear understanding of who he was, but I had a very good understanding of who this character was, and I used kind of my experiences in my own life and observations of other people that I knew or friends that I had, and I kind of collectively made that character. And the longer the show went on, the more of a character he became. And so, yeah, I don't know if there's any one thing that I kind of utilize or go to. You know, honestly, I go to previous episodes. If I need to, we had a couple of new directors this season. And one of the directors, I won't get into the names or any details, but he came up to me and he gave me this kind of lofty idea that he had that he wanted me to do in the scene. And I just kind of looked at him and I'm like, Dean wouldn't do that. And he kind of looked at me stunned, like, you know, but I'm your director and I'm telling you what to do. And you're my actor. I'm like, listen, pal. You know, I know Dean. We're pretty tight.
I was like, I know him too.
And that's just not how he would. That's not how he would handle that situation. That's not how he would react.
Right.
And I have 160 episodes to base that on. So, you know, I think Jared and I have a very clear understanding of these characters, just because of the length of time we've spent with them.
Oh yeah.
But very good question.
Like the length of time y'all have spent with them.
Yes, yes. And we're also very protective of these characters, which I'm sure you guys can appreciate. Yes. Yeah. Are you sure? You know, I wish I had a better answer other than the writers literally sit in the room and they're like, okay, what kind of random thing can we think of now? And they love to throw Dean under the bus a lot of times with
Busty Asian beauty.
Library Bed, the Magic Fingers. Yeah, Dean generally gets the, you know, has to wear the brunt end of the writer's inside jokes. And a lot of times I'll have to call him up and be like, what? Why is he doing this? What am I doing? Why do you want me to? Okay, all right. You know, and sometimes, you know, I'll get an email from the writer and be like, hey, can you just do it for me, please? Because it's really funny to me. I'm like, okay, whatever you say.